Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 186 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It is Saturday, November 18th, 2023, and it's a gorgeous day out. Bright blue, sunny skies. It's in the 50s Fahrenheit. It's nice out. The weather is so nice. So if you're a new viewer here, thank you so much for joining me and coming by for a visit to see what I'm up to. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another visit and coming back week after week or day after day to see what I'm talking about and what I've been up to. I'm so happy to have everyone here with me. I'm so happy about that. So I'm sipping a cup of tea, and this is in a new coffee cup. It is a Thomas Kincaid. I didn't notice that until it was a while before I realized that. I said, this looks like it reminds me of Thomas Kincaid. My husband says, it is, look. I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice that. Observation skills might not be my top thing. Try to show you this without pouring hot tea on myself. It's just such a pretty cup. Got it at our little local thrift store. Got it for $1. I love it. I love the Christmassy wintry scene on it. And just sipping a cup of black tea. It's got a cinnamon flavor to it. It's really nice. So what have I been up to this week? If you've been following my Whip It Down week, you've seen a few little blips of what I've been doing the past few days. So I'm on Thanksgiving break from work right now. So the university is closed down, or there's no classes through the entirety of the week of Thanksgiving here in the US. So when my class was done on Wednesday afternoon, unofficially I was on my break. Officially it starts on the weekend. It starts now. And this week coming up, I plan on spending some time each and every day working on one of my whips. So I currently only have 3. I don't tend to have a lot of whips ongoing at the same time. I tend to get overwhelmed when I have too many whips all at once, and I just get overwhelmed with it. Some people love having oodles. Doesn't work for me. My brain doesn't like it. So I tend to have 5 or less whips on the go at a time. 2 or 3 is actually closer to my optimal, but sometimes I get up to 5, maybe 6. December, all bets are off because Advent season is starting. So I will have quite a few things and quite a few new projects starting up on the 1st of December, but that's another story for another day. So since I saw you last, I have 1 finished object, and I have progress on 2 out of my 3 existing whips. The 3rd one I'm going to start working on today. But my first finished object are my toe-up sort of shorty Scrappy socks. I think that's what I'm calling them. Either way, they're done. When I saw you last, I was ready to start the heel turn. So I had up to this darker blue portion done on both socks. So since I saw you last, I did the heel turn, heel flap, and then finished off the leg. So this is done. The toe and the heel are done in a bare yarn, and all the other yarns are scraps of different yarns I dyed myself. And each of these other colors are in 1 or 2 or more other pair of socks. So they mostly match, not 100%, and I'm fine with that. What I did typically is, with each of them I had like 1 little ball of yarn. They were just all scraps of yarn that I had sitting in this little, I don't think you can see it, in this crystal cookie jar. I just have all my yarns, my own hand-dyed yarn scraps are in there. So I would have 1 small ball, and so I would I would just pull from the end and I would make 2 smaller ones that looked like they were close to the same side. I don't have a scale that's precise. It only measures by the ounce, or the gram. So it's not precise. It'll go from 1 and then it'll go to 2 and then 3. So if it's somewhere in between, I have to guess. So I just eyeballed it, and not perfectly, and that I don't care. They're Scrappy socks. They sort of match. They're close enough. They're clearly a pair. And as you've seen in the past, I don't really give a hoot if they actually match or not. As you've seen me make several pair of mismatched socks. And I have plans to make more mismatching socks in the upcoming year. So that's my finished object. My toe-up, sort of shorty, Scrappy socks. And I'll probably be making more of these. I don't think I'll make any in the next month or so. I might start up more of them again in January. But these were also part of a make-along I have running over on my Ravelry group, the Karen Knits Podcast Ravelry group. And I'm using the hashtag, what am I using a hashtag with? Hashtag Scrappy, sort of shorty scrap. I don't remember the hashtag. I'll put it down here. How bad is that? Yeah, I'm a real professional at this, aren't I? I really know what I'm doing. Anyway, I'll put the hashtag down here, and it'll also be down in the description bar below. And I've had several people join up with me, and they've got some fantastic socks they finished. It's fantastic. And with the make along, I don't care if you actually finish the socks. Not relevant. Finish them, don't finish them. Have them be scrappy, have them just be regular socks. I don't care. Some kind of socks, knit, crochet socks, it's all good. And that's running all through the month of November and December. So I'll close it up in the end of December, on the 31st of December at the end of the day. So feel free to come on and join. If you go to I'll have a link also down below for my Ravelry group. If you want to come over and join there and you still have time to make, they can be sort of shorty socks, they can be shorties, they can be scrappy, they can be knit, they can be crochet, whatever. As I said before, the rules are very loosey-goosey. Just come over, join me, make socks. Finish socks is cool. If you don't just work on socks. So those are my 2 at a time, toe up, sort of shorty, scrappy socks. And I will be making more of these. Again, they might match, they might not match. Whatever. I'm not fussed about that at all. So that's my finished object. We'll stick with socks. But first I want to show you, I went a week ago Friday, the hubby and I went and checked out this store called Surplus City. And half of the store was all, I joked around and called it's all manly stuff. It was all nuts and bolts and bits and bobs and things for doing whatever. Construction stuff, home stuff, whatever. The other half of the store so I didn't even look around that side of the store much at all, other than to go and find my husband when I was done with my stuff. The other half of the store, at least half, maybe a bit more than half of it, was fabric and some art stuff. Like they had acrylic paints, they had little wood cutout things that you could get and paint. They had there's all kinds of stuff like that. They also had on that side, on the girly stuff, they had all kinds of home decor stuff and yard decorations. So they had a lot of the yard flags, lawn flags, or whatever you call them. They had different containers and canisters and things like cookie jars and little storage type things like that. They had a lot of those. I was interested in the fabric section. So I found 3 fabrics that when I saw them, I think I squeed. I was like, ah! I'm like, I must. So I brought home 3 yards, one of each of the 3 fabrics, and I'm going to make myself some project bags with those. I might make some in the future once I fine-tune my bag sewing skills. As I made one, just spoiler alert, I did make one project bag with one of the fabrics for myself. I will be making more potentially Sunday afternoon or Monday, potentially not until after the Thanksgiving break. But I made one, and as a podcast I've seen this woman in the UK, I think it's Little Drops of Wonderful is her channel, and she made what she calls dodgy bags. And I'm like, that's perfect, because this one is a little bit wonky. So without further ado, this bag that I made myself the other day, I think I made it on Tuesday? Yeah, I made it just this past Tuesday for myself. It's a little bit dodgy, it's quite a bit wonky, and I love it. And I love the fabric. Look at that! There's sheep in sweaters and scarves with yarn and knitting needles, and oh my goodness, look at that fabric. Isn't it just the best? So the top half is done in the sheepy fabric, has a zipper. I've got a little progress keeper, progress marker that I've just attached to the zipper pull. It has just a plain black bottom. There's a handle, which is too long. If you put it over your wrist, it's too long. It needs to be shortened up by several inches. And the seams don't match as well as they should have. And I'm okay with that for myself. If I were going to make these to sell, I'd want to make sure that all of my seams are good. Box bottom. And it has, the lining is this fun fabric, and I have lots of this fabric. I bought it on an auction, and I have yards and yards of it. I probably have, if I had to guess, 10 to 15 yards of it. So I will be using that for lining if I'm going to be making more project bags. And I really do, I do want to make myself some more. The next one I want to make myself is going to be a drawstring bag. And then I might make a cosmetic bag that tapers in a bit at the top. I'm debating that one. I'm not sure about that one. The other 2 fabrics, well, I'm talking about the fabric. This was the second fabric I got. So it's all balls of yarn and knitting needles, and I love it. And the third one, it goes in all kinds of directions, so I don't know if there's a top or a bottom. But there's more sheep in sweaters and scarves, and it just has all kinds of knitting and stitching related designs on it. And I love this fabric too. So I also have several yards of just plain black fabric, so I am going to be using just the plain black for the box bottom parts. For the drawstring bag, I'll probably use the black on the bottom, and the drawstring casing I'll do in black also. And it'll also have that same lining. So living in here are my November socks. So I loosened up some fluff somewhere. So these are well underway. I'm getting tangled up. I made a goodly, relatively speaking, a nice amount of progress on these since I saw you last. So when I saw you last, I was just ready to start the heel turn and heel flap. Both the socks last Saturday when I did the podcast Both of the pair of socks, the Scrappy ones and the November socks, were both at the point I was ready to start the heels. So this pair, I finished the Scrappy ones first and then I switched over to this one. So I've done the heel turns, done the heel flaps, and added just a few rounds on the rest of the sock. So they're coming along nicely. I'm on the home stretch now. So the way I do my sort of shorty socks, I will do 25 rounds in the main color, in this case that orange, that rusty orange color. I will do 25 rounds in that, and then I will switch to doing a 2x2 ribbing until I completely run out of yarn. I'm using the yarn for that. Oops, that's not the right box. You know you've got too much yarn when? No, you never have too much yarn. The yarn for that is from my Orlando Fiber Arts 12 Days of Christmas, or 12 Days of Yarn Advent Calendar. So I got it a bit later last December, and instead of opening one over the 12 Days of Christmas, I opted to open one each month of the year and make myself a pair of sort of shorty socks with that. That's what I have so far. I can't wait till January when I'm going to start wearing them all. Right now they're sitting in a pile because I want to get a family picture, a group picture of all of them together, and then I'll start wearing them. So as soon as my December pair are done, I can start wearing them all. So those are my November socks. I have the December yarn, or day 12 is still unopened. I don't know what the yarn looks like. It's going to be, if the trend continues with those, they go from a semi-solid to lightly speckled, solid, speckled, and so on. So month 12 should be, if the trend, the rhythm continues, the ones for day 12 or the December socks will be slightly speckled. So, and then I will be finished, once I finish the December socks, I will be completely finished with my 12-day Advent calendar from last year. And I've really enjoyed working on one pair of socks from those per month all year and having it a year-long project. And so in thinking about that, I have been mulling over, and I think I'm going to start on the 1st of January. I'm going to start a new make-along, and it's going to be a sort of shorty box of socks. So I think the hashtag will be hashtag box of sort of shorty socks, I think is what or 2024, I think is what I will have as a hashtag for it. I'll let you know again sooner. But the whole goal is just to make as many pair of sort of shorty socks, or whatever kind of socks. Again, loosey-goosey rules. For each pair of completed socks you have throughout the year, you'll be entered in for some kind of prize. Maybe it'll be a dodgy project bag that I make. That might be a good prize. Within a year I should have figured out and got a little better at making the bags. We shall see. But maybe that's what I can have for a prize for that. Anyway, I'm still working out the details on that, so stay tuned. I'll talk a lot more about that as we get through into December. And the other project that has finally seen some love this past week is my Penguono sweater. This is a big, heavy beast, and it's colorful. Oh my gosh, it is so loud and colorful. Oh my. So, it's so hard to show this because it's so big and bulky. I clearly have a bunch of ends still to weave in, but in the past couple days, as part of my Whip It Down week, I have got going on the bottom. So this is just, it's upside down now. So from the purple here and the orange, that is the I don't want to say waistband. Waistband is the wrong word. Did I make a mistake there? Huh. Something looks, I think I made, oh well. I'm certainly not going back to fix that now. Whatever. I do think I have a mistake on there. I don't know if you can even see it. But there's a spot where, right in here, where I've not done garter stitch. I've switched for some reason to doing purl stitch on the wrong side. Whatever. If anyone's looking that closely at the front of my belly where that part's going to be, whatever. But anyway, since you've last seen this project on the podcast, I was at this bottom blue marker. So I'd done, I think, 4 rows on the band across the bottom. I think they call it border 1 in the pattern. So the first day of my Whip It Down that I was working on this, I did another 4, however many rows. And then yesterday I finished, and the bottom border is now finished. It stays on the needles, which became a bit of a problem for me because it's supposed to stay on the needles, and then you go and work on the collar portion. And I don't have an extra. This is an interchangeable set, but I don't have an extra. I don't have enough cable to take the needles off the bottom. I can't separate that cable on there because it'll be too tight. It'll be too squishy on there. And the other cable I do have is going to be too short, and the stitches will be too squashed and tight on there to do the collar. So, as you do, I hopped on Amazon this morning and placed a quick order for a pair or a set of Geogu red lace. I think I got the 60-inch just because if I'm using that big a needle, I'm probably making something larger scale, and I'll want a long cable. 6.5 millimeter or US 10, I think it is. Don't quote me on that. Check my project page, it'll be linked down below. So that's on order. It should be arriving tomorrow. So it'll be ready for me to pack and take with me when we go on our Thanksgiving break getaway next week. So I'm going to be taking my 3 whips with me and continuing on with my Whip It Down series and trying to finish all of mine. So the only whips I have are my November socks, Penguono, and Geo Gradient. Like 2/3 of my whips are Stephen West. So I have those 3. So Penguono is getting close to done. I just have to do the collar, and then I have to do the I-cord bind off around like a half a mile of, I think it's about a half a mile of bind off, I-cord bind off. But it's worth it because I love the look of it. And then I have a bunch of ends that have to be woven in. But that's no big deal. I don't mind weaving in ends. There might be something wrong with me, but I honestly don't mind weaving in the ends. So there's that, and then so the November socks are fairly close to done. I just have to finish the legs. And Penguono, the collar, ends, and the I-cord bind off. The Geo Gradients, I'm only partway through the first half of clue number 3. So that one's going to take me a little while to finish. I'm thinking I can finish the other 2 fairly quickly. I will be able to finish those during my Whip It Down week. I'm also hoping that I can finish Geo Gradient also. We shall see. So that's it for all of my works in progress. The other things I wanted, so I talked to you about the fabric. The other thing I wanted to show you is I got my last advent calendar. So I have several advent calendars for this year. This one is from Chickadee Fiber Art. She's out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. This took a really convoluted route coming to me. It went from Saskatoon to Vancouver to Los Angeles. Then it went up to New Jersey. Then it came to Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, then Harrisburg, and then down to me. So it took a really wonky route to get to me, but it's here. I'm not going to open the outer box yet. I'm assuming everything's all packaged up inside there. I don't want to take the chance. So I will start opening all of my advents on the 1st of December. So I just want to talk a little bit about my advents. I may or may not have gone a little crazy this year. I love advent calendars, and I've saved up all year for advent calendars, and I'm going to start saving now for advent calendars for next year. So my advent calendars, I have 3 yarn related advent calendars, plus another one that is fountain pen ink, and then I've also made myself a tea advent calendar. I have enough tea. Story behind that, several years ago, probably 2 to 4 years ago, I did a project where one of your things was to create an advent calendar for yourself. It was a challenge I did. And I was doing this within a journaling group, and part of what I did with the advent calendar, I created it and then I used day 1, and that's as far as I got. Oops. So what happened was that I made this advent calendar. So it's on an old wooden hanger that I painted white. Then I took embroidery thread and have strings hanging down it. On each of the end of each of the strings that are at different lengths, I have a little white paper bag that I made, just kind of taped together a piece of basically printing paper. And inside there I've tucked in, I don't remember, it's so long ago I honestly don't remember if I tucked in 25 different tea bags that I had around home, which is quite possible because I have a lot of tea, a lot of variety of tea. Herbal, caffeine-free, green teas, black teas, white teas, all kinds. I don't remember, so this will be part of the surprise for me. I don't remember what I put in each of the bags. There's a journaling prompt in there as well, which I don't think I'm going to do anything with this year. So that was just part of the original challenge to make this advent calendar. So I opened up day 1 several years ago when I made this thing. So I need to recreate day 1. So I think what I'll do is I'll get the hubby to pick I have several packets of loose tea. I think what I'll get him to do is to pick one of those for me on the 1st of December. And then I'll make a cup of tea for myself in the morning with that specific tea that he's chosen. And then I will continue from day 2, 3 up to 25. I'll just open up the advent calendar that I created for myself several years ago. I'm not worried about the tea the tea bags, they might not be the freshest, but I'm not that precious about things like that. So that'll be one of my advent calendars that I open every morning. I will be filming Vlogmas, and as part of Vlogmas, I will be showing you all of my advent calendars that I open each day. So I will be opening my tea and making a cup of tea with whatever tea bag I have in there. I'll be curious to see if I do have a different one in each of the days or if I repeat some of the days. I don't remember what I did on those. You know, you have too much stuff when you make something and you completely forget about it, and then you have no idea what exactly is going to be in there. Absent-minded professor at its best. Anywho, so that's one of my advent calendars I'm going to open. The other one I'm going to open is, and this one I will do on my other channel. What way does this open? This one I did open because I knew it's all fountain pen inks. So I will show opening that on this channel, and on my original channel I'm going to do a little swatch for each of the inks over the 25 days. So I'll take out, I've got a dip pen, so I'll do a little writing sample. I have a Q-tip so I can do a little, I'm just going to do a few things like that just to have a sample of each and every ink out of the advent calendar. So that's my set. So I've got the tea, the advent, or the ink vent. This was Diamine inks. And then I also have the Freckled Whimsy 2023 self-striping advent sock yarn. And that I will open on the 1st of December. Before the 1st of December, I will knit the toes. I'm going to do the same way I did with the 2022 Advent sock yarn, a self-striping sock yarn I bought from her. I'm going to do the same thing with that, with this year's I did with that one. So I'll have white toes, and then, so on the 1st I will cake up the 2 separate skeins, and I will knit 1 color stripe per day from the 1st to the 24th of December. And hopefully I'll keep up with it. We'll see. If I don't, it's not the end of the world. So I'm going to do the toes and the heels, and probably a little pop of color at the top in bare yarn, and then I'll have the 24 color stripes all the way through the sock. Then I'll have enough yarn left over that I'll be able to make a second pair of socks with the color sequence in reverse. Same with I did with the other yarn. So I have the Freckled Whimsy yarn. I have the Opal Advent calendar that I'm just going to open them and look at the yarns each day through Advent, and then I'm going to put them back into their little spots. And throughout 2024, I plan on making 24 individual sort of shorty socks with that. And I have the gray Opal yarn that I'm going to use for toes, heels, and a little pop of color, or the cuff on each of the socks, so that they'll coordinate with the toes, heels, and cuff, and then each of the individual socks will be different. So I'll have 24 individual socks, or 12 mismatch pairs. So I'm going to start that in January. So I'm planning on doing the same way I did with my 50-gram Advent from this current year, so that I'm doing this current year. I'm going to make, each month I'll do 1 pair of socks. I might pick up speed and do more throughout the year. I might not. I might just keep it doing 1 per month, 1 pair per month. So open up like day 1 and 2 will be January, 3 and 4 will be February, and so on. So that's the plan for my Opal Advent calendar. And then my Chickadee Fiber Arts calendar that just arrived a couple days ago, I am going to, those again, it's a 24 day plus Christmas Day. So there's 24, oh boy. There's 24 20-gram skeins plus a full skein. So what I'm going to do with those, I will open one each day, as you do with the typical Advent calendar. And then what I'm going to do is with this Advent calendar, I'm going to make myself an Ariana cardigan. And so it's a crochet cardigan made with granny squares. I'm going to follow along the way that Alex with My Yarny Corner did hers last year, where I think she said it's written for, I think, a sport DK weight yarn, But she just did hers doing each day in the advent calendar. She was able, I think she said she's able to do 2 of the granny squares, and she just made the squares more rounds so that it came out to the same size as the DK weight square would have come out to be. So I'm going to experiment with that before the 1st of December, and then with each of the days I'm going to make probably 2 is what I'll get out of the 10 or the 20 gram mini. I'll make 2 of the granny squares for an Ariana cardigan. And then after Christmas comes and I've made all the squares, then I'll put the sweater together end of December or into January. So those are the plans for my 3 yarny advent calendars. So one of them will carry through. I won't be working on that until the new year. Chickadee Fibers is going to go into an Ariana cardigan. I might need to break into other yarns all across that bridge when I don't think I'll have enough in the advent calendar to make the full sweater, because I'll be making the larger size. And my Freckled Whimsy socks. I'll also be making my December socks. And I also have an advent scarf that I participate with every year from a designer who is involved with the Sock Madness group. So she does an advent scarf every year where you get 1 clue each day throughout Advent, and then at the end of at Christmas you have a full scarf. This year's theme, I think she said, is cables and textures, and it's done in a sport weight yarn. So I'm excited about that. So I'm gonna be casting on a lot of stuff. I'm gonna have my November socks, or sorry, my December socks that I'll get started. I'm going to have my Freckled Whimsy Advent socks. I'm gonna have Trisha's Advent scarf. I'm gonna do my Ariana cardigan squares, and that's enough. So that's why I want to get the other ones done, because I'm gonna have 4, unless I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I don't know. But those will be all the things I'm going to be doing in December. So it'll be a fun, busy month. And I'll take you along on the ride with that through Vlogmas. So I've really rattled on here. So I'm going to get the editing done on this. Hubby should be home in about an hour, 2 hours. We'll have a quick lunch, and then we'll go get organized and head out and meet the rest of the gang for the parade. We're just going to walk over there because it's only 3 or 4 blocks, well, 4 or 5 blocks from our place, roughly, where the parade starts. So we're going to go and get that done this afternoon, then pizza party, and then I'm going to come home after that and get back to working on my GeoGradient shawl. So I think that's everything. Yeah. Anyway, so it's been great talking with you again. I will also be posting my regular Whip It Down Week vlog thing this evening. And I'll get this one. This one should be posted by lunchtime today, hopefully. So I'll shut up now and I'll let you go. So take care, everyone. Bye.